Let's get one thing straight. Being on top doesn't just mean confidence, success, or beauty. It means owning your power, knowing your worth, and choosing love from a place of strength, not scarcity. Embracing vulnerability without giving up control is a powerful balancing act that very few people truly master, yet it's one of the most magnetic qualities a woman can possess. When a man sees a woman who can open her heart, express her feelings, and allow him into her emotional world, while still maintaining her self-respect, boundaries, and direction in life, he sees someone truly rare. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the opposite. It's strength in its most authentic form. It's showing up as yourself without needing to be perfect. It's saying, "This is who I am, and I'm not afraid to be seen." But when that vulnerability comes from a place of self-possession, it becomes irresistible. Many people confuse control with emotional detachment. They think that if they let someone in, they'll lose their power. But true control doesn't come from holding back. It comes from knowing that you're safe with or without someone else's validation. Vulnerability becomes magnetic when it's offered freely, not as a tool to manipulate or as a cry for attention, but as a confident act of connection. When you can share what you feel without needing him to fix it, save you, or change for you, you create a space where a man can truly fall. A woman on top isn't afraid to express softness. She's not performing strength by suppressing emotion. She knows that her strength is proven by her ability to stay grounded in her identity, even when she's emotionally exposed. And when a man sees this, it awakens something deep in him. It makes him want to step forward, protect, cherish, and connect, not out of obligation, but out of a genuine pull toward her essence. He realizes she doesn't need him, but she's choosing to be open with him, and that makes him feel valued in a profound way. Vulnerability allows you to say, "I'm hurt," without blaming. It lets you say, "I miss you," without needing reassurance. It helps you say, "This matters to me," without apologizing for your standards. It's emotional honesty delivered with calm confidence. When you're in this space, you're not dramatizing or withholding. You're just being real. And in a world that is often filled with surface-level conversations and guarded hearts, this kind of honesty is like a breath of fresh air. Control, in this sense, doesn't mean dominance or emotional armor. It means self-trust. You trust your instincts. You trust that your needs are valid. You trust that you can express yourself without falling apart or giving your power away. And when vulnerability flows from this trust, it doesn't feel like a risk. It feels like a gift. You become the woman who can feel deeply, express freely, and walk away gracefully if her emotional needs are not met. That is rare. That is unforgettable. That is when a man begins to fall. Letting him witness your ambition, not just your affection, is one of the most attractive things you can do when you're standing in your power. Too often, women are taught that being nurturing and emotionally supportive should be their primary currency in a relationship. And while affection has its place, what truly sets you apart is when a man sees the fire in your eyes for something beyond him. Your goals, your mission, your vision, these are not distractions from love. They are the very qualities that make a man see you as extraordinary. When he sees that you're passionate about your purpose, that you're driven by more than romance, he's pulled toward you on a deeper level. Ambition is not just about career or money. It's about the desire to grow, to evolve, to contribute to the world in a meaningful way. A woman who is connected to her ambition walks differently. She speaks with intention. She values her time. She doesn't get lost in waiting for texts or overthinking his every move, because her life is already full of momentum, and that kind of energy is incredibly attractive to the right man, the kind of man who is looking for a partner, not someone to rescue. When you let a man see your ambition, you're sending a message. I have something in my life that excites me, drives me, and fulfills me, and I'm inviting you into that world, not making you the center of it. That shift in dynamic changes everything. Suddenly, he's not being pursued, he's being inspired. And when a man feels inspired by a woman, he starts seeing her not just as someone he wants to date, but someone he wants to build with. He doesn't just think about how to make her happy today. He starts thinking about how to support her future. There's something incredibly magnetic about watching someone light up when they talk about what they love. When you share your ambitions with him, not in a boastful way, but with genuine passion, you give him the gift of seeing your mind, your drive, and your hunger to grow. This builds not just attraction, but respect. He begins to understand that your value isn't rooted in how much you give to him emotionally, but in how much you're creating for yourself. And from that place, your affection becomes even more powerful, because it's clear that it's not coming from a place of need, but from a place of abundance. Men don't fall in love with dependency. They fall in love with depth, vitality, and the energy of someone who is alive with purpose. Your ambition tells him that you have a life of your own, and that if he wants to be part of it, he needs to show up as someone who adds to it, not someone who distracts you from it. When your affection is paired with ambition, you become unforgettable. You become the woman who doesn't just love deeply, you live fully. Celebrate him without needing him is a subtle yet powerful move that completely shifts the dynamic between you and a man. When you can acknowledge and appreciate who he is, what he brings, and how he shows up without relying on him to complete you or make you feel worthy, you create a connection built on genuine admiration rather than silent expectation. Men feel this difference immediately. They know when appreciation is coming from a place of wholeness versus a place of lack. And the moment they sense that you're celebrating them not because you need them, but because you see them clearly and choose to value them, something inside them opens up. There's a kind of energy that radiates from a woman who isn't seeking a man to fill a void. She's already full. She's fulfilled. Her joy, her peace, and her self-worth are already intact. So when she says, "I admire what you did," or "I love how you handled that," it feels powerful. It doesn't come with strings. It's not a test. It's not followed by emotional withdrawal if he doesn't reciprocate in exactly the way she hoped. It's pure, and it feels good to receive. Men, especially those who are emotionally mature, are drawn to this kind of positive reinforcement because it makes them feel safe to show up as themselves, rather than as someone constantly trying to live up to an invisible standard. When you celebrate him without needing him, you're also communicating something deeper, that your world doesn't revolve around whether or not he approves of you, stays with you, or validates you. You're not overgiving to earn his affection. You're not pretending to be impressed. You're actually seeing him, and you're choosing to express what you admire without turning it into currency. This kind of interaction breaks the mold of the usual power dynamics that often sneak into relationships. It puts you both on even ground, where connection is built from respect, not emotional dependency. Men want to feel valued, but they want to feel valued for who they truly are, not for what they can provide or fix. So when you recognize his character, his effort, his vulnerability, or his growth, and you reflect that back to him without attaching your sense of happiness to his presence, You invite him into a space where love can grow authentically. He feels seen, not used. He feels appreciated, not pressured. And that's when his walls start to come down. That's when he feels safe to love you back in a meaningful way. There's a quiet power in being the woman who can say, "I love this about you," while also knowing that her life would still be rich and meaningful even without him in it. That's not cold, it's magnetic. It signals to him that he's with someone who is not seeking completion, but someone who adds richness to what is already whole. He feels freedom, not obligation. He feels inspired, not burdened. Setting boundaries that deepen desire is not about creating distance. It's about creating clarity, respect, and emotional safety. When a woman sets boundaries with confidence and grace, she communicates to a man that she knows her worth. She knows what she will and won't accept, and she's not afraid to walk away from what doesn't align. This immediately shifts how a man views her. She's no longer just attractive. She becomes valuable. And when something is valuable, it's treated with more care, more intention, and more presence. Many people fear that setting boundaries will push someone away. But the truth is, the right man is drawn closer by healthy limits. It signals to him that he's not dealing with someone who's trying to please at all costs or bend to fit his needs. Instead, he's interacting with a woman who is emotionally mature, self-aware, and committed to protecting her peace. That kind of strength doesn't repel. It captivates. It challenges a man to rise, to match your standards, and to bring his best self to the table. Boundaries aren't ultimatums. They aren't emotional weapons or threats. They're simply expressions of what honors your values and emotional well-being. For example, saying, "I don't feel respected when communication goes silent for days," isn't drama, it's clarity. Saying, "I need time for myself this weekend," isn't rejection, it's self-care. When a man sees you uphold your boundaries with calm, non-reactive energy, he learns that your love isn't for sale, and it isn't desperate. It's deliberate. What deepens desire is not constant availability or blind compliance. What deepens desire is the sense that a woman is choosing him from a place of fullness, not from lack. Boundaries make that distinction clear. They say, "I want you here, but I don't need you here at the expense of myself." That message is powerful. It removes pressure and replaces it with a sense of earned intimacy. And when intimacy is earned, it becomes more cherished. Boundaries also teach a man how to love you. They are not just barriers. They are instructions for connection. They show him where your lines are, where your heart is protected, and how to meet you in a way that feels safe and respectful. Most men don't mind being guided. In fact, they appreciate it. It removes confusion. It gives direction. And for the man who genuinely wants to be close to you, it becomes a roadmap to your emotional world. When a woman sets boundaries while remaining open, warm, and emotionally present, she embodies the perfect balance of strength and softness. She's not withholding love. She's guarding it with care. She's not putting up walls. She's setting doors with conditions for access. That's not controlling its queen energy, and it's in that energy that a man begins to pursue not just her attention, but her respect. He starts to value the emotional space she creates, because he knows it's not given lightly. Making space for his masculinity without dimming your light is about allowing him to show up in his power while staying fully rooted in your own. It's not about shrinking yourself to make him feel important, but rather about holding space for both energies to exist harmoniously. True, feminine strength doesn't compete with masculinity. It complements it. And when a man feels like he can be fully himself around a woman who is confident, radiant, and grounded, The connection becomes magnetic. Many women unintentionally dim their light in relationships. They quiet their opinions, downplay their success, or suppress their emotional truth to avoid intimidating a man. But the right man is not intimidated by your brilliance, he's inspired by it. He doesn't want a woman who makes herself small to accommodate his ego. He wants a woman who makes herself real and strong enough to let him be real too. Your light doesn't have to blind him, it can guide him. And when you stand fully in who you are, you give him permission to do the same. Making space for his masculinity means recognizing the ways he wants to contribute, protect, and support without assuming that receiving those things makes you weak or dependent. Masculine energy thrives on purpose, direction, and action. When you allow a man to show up in those ways not because you can't do it yourself, but because you welcome his efforts, you're not giving up your power. You're honoring his. This creates a dynamic of mutual respect rather than silent competition. A powerful woman doesn't need a man, but she can deeply desire one. And in that desire, she allows him to lean into who he is without constantly correcting, controlling, or overshadowing him. She doesn't need to dominate the room to prove her strength. She lets her presence speak for itself. And in doing so, she makes room for his presence too. She allows him to express leadership, initiative, and emotional protection in ways that feel authentic to him, without ever sacrificing her own leadership, vision, or independence. The magic happens when both people feel fully expressed. He gets to bring his masculinity to the table, his drive, his protectiveness, his logic, his strength without fearing that it will be diminished. And you get to bring your softness, your intuition, your fire, your intelligence, your depth without fearing that it will be too much. In that space, something rare unfolds. Neither person is trying to prove their value. You're just being. And from that beingness comes connection. When a woman can allow room for a man to lead at times, support at times, and feel like he's contributing something meaningful to her life, he doesn't feel emasculated. He feels inspired. He rises to meet her because she's not pushing him to perform. She's inviting him to show up. And all the while, she's standing tall in her light, never turning it down, never asking for permission, simply shining. Being emotionally available, but not emotionally dependent, is one of the most magnetic qualities you can bring into a relationship. It shows a man that your heart is open, your feelings are real, and you're capable of meaningful connection, but it also tells him that you are emotionally self-sufficient. You're not looking for someone to rescue you, complete you, or regulate your inner world. You've already built emotional stability within yourself, and from that solid place you choose to connect with him, not out of necessity, but out of desire. A woman who is emotionally available allows herself to be seen. She's not afraid to say what she feels. She expresses affection without playing games. She communicates needs without fear of being too much. And she's willing to let someone close enough to actually experience her truth. That kind of vulnerability is powerful, not because it's dramatic, but because it's honest. But when that availability is combined with emotional independence, it doesn't feel heavy, it feels refreshing. Emotional dependency often leads to pressure in relationships. It shows up as anxiety, overanalyzing, or constant need for reassurance. A man can feel when a woman's sense of well-being depends on how he responds, how often he shows up, or how much validation he gives. That pressure is what makes him feel like he's being asked to carry more than just the relationship. He's being asked to carry her emotional state. And that becomes overwhelming even to the man who cares. But when a woman has done the work to soothe her own emotions, to understand her patterns, and to not react impulsively to fear or insecurity, she becomes someone who offers emotional space rather than emotional demand. She still feels deeply, she still cares deeply, but she doesn't need constant confirmation of her worth. Her calmness becomes magnetic. Her emotional maturity becomes a safe place for him to land. And when a man feels that kind of safety, he naturally opens up more, trusts more, and connects more deeply. Being emotionally available means showing up with an open heart. It means having conversations that matter. It means being honest about what you want, what scares you, what excites you. But emotional independence means you don't collapse if things don't go your way. You don't spiral if someone doesn't meet every expectation. You stay anchored. You grieve when needed, but you recover with grace. You're allowed to have needs. You just don't make someone else responsible for managing them at the cost of their own emotional peace. When you bring this balance into a relationship, you create a dynamic where love can flow freely, without fear, guilt, or pressure. You become a woman who loves with her whole heart, but never loses herself in the process. A woman who gives love freely, but doesn't abandon her inner stability in exchange for attention. A woman who feels everything, but who stays rooted in her own emotional power no matter how things unfold.